We are live now. I
You
believe.
two did
Let's.
want to.
Oh, we got some folks in here.
Everybody's texting me, asking me if you're going live.
Yeah, I figured we go since you're busy doing your politic and stuff. I figured we might make it a short night, so we got a surprise. We got a surprise guest coming on tonight. That's that shadowy figure down there in the bottom left.
So, Brett, the Winchester Mountains are northwest of Wilcox.
Okay.
I don't know where.
Just wondering. Just curious. There's Steve Vick. Hello, guys. Missy's here again. Hey, Missy. Bill. Hello, Bill. Tom Pruitt. Missy, a book you should read is American Beagling. Okay. Rick Cooley's here. Hello, Hound Dogs. Guys, I was just explaining. I think I got some dogs that I think I'm probably going to go ahead and sell. They're 100% javelina hounds. Because this is out of 4 trips. These same dogs, out of the last 4 trips, we've caught 3 javelina. They might be valuable somewhere. I know they're not valuable with me. I got blood all over me. I climbed in a cave hole with a flashlight. I didn't make it around the last corner, and I heard the jaws popping.
I wonder why they don't make it legal to chase javelina with dogs.
Man, I always tell everybody the same thing, that it might be fun if they didn't fight like those guys I used to have to fight when I was a kid, because they didn't fight fair. When you get after one, if there's a group of them there, the other ones, dog gets a hold of one, those other ones will come in and they'll hammer on that dog. I've just been fortunate. These last 3 I caught, I put them in cave holes.
Yeah, when I was a kid in junior high in Greeley, Colorado, we had to fight all those cholos, and the standard attitude was back then you had to fight. If you fought one bean, you had to fight the whole burrito, and that's not to be derogatory today, but that's exactly how javelina are.
Oh yeah, I mean, and believe me, being a big old red-headed kid in Corrales, I had to do. It was kind of a rough. Well, matter of fact, that's why we moved, because I was suspended. I forget how many times they thought I was just going to be a regular outlaw. I run hounds now, so I guess I am a regular outlaw.
You're lucky to have your hair. With all those guys around there, they could have scalped you just to have that on their wall. Hang it from the rear view mirror on their lowrider.
I think they tried a few times. I know I sure got my ass beat a few times.
Grow up.
What'd you say, Chris?
So,
Helped you grow up.
It did. It did. Let's see. Quiet Tim, we just heard. Tell us, Chris, can you put the mic close to your mouth and tell us what you were doing? What service were you providing for the houndsmen of Arizona?
They cut us a little short, so I didn't get to talk, but Derek got to talk, and a couple other guys got to talk. So, but that Lupe Diaz kind of called out. He's the representative that came up with the bill, and he kind of called out the CBD and kind of said it's BS him trying to take all of our stuff away, and he didn't think that was right. He publicly said that, and he said I could use his comments if I wanted.
Now, say that again. I'm sorry, I didn't follow. What?
Lupe Diaz is the representative that sponsored the bill.
Yeah.
So he right when he was explaining his bill he sponsored, he basically called out the CBD, saying that they're trying to take away our stuff, and he didn't think it was right.
Really?
Yeah, and he gave me permission to use his comments if I wanted to.
How come he sponsored the bill then?
No, I didn't get to talk to him on a personal level like that, but he basically just said that he lives where there's a lot of deer, there's a lot of lions, and he knows people that are doing it. And he basically said it's just wrong that these guys are just going to come in and say we can't do it. And he even said, I've had a lot of groups come in and tell me to drop the bill, and that's amazing to me. He got an outpour of emails from other states too.
Oh, cool.
So good job, sportsman. Good job. Unfortunately, and I think Derek wouldn't let me speak because Russ McSpadden got up there and was talking. He was there today. I wanted to really talk to him, but he kind of left before it was over, or I would have talked to him. He's the guy that sponsored the bill, sponsored the petition. And it felt like to me they were telling him that it was unfair that the Game and Fish pulled that petition. But they had every right to, so I'm sure it will be back. So, and I think the consensus is everybody says that that shouldn't even make it into that room, that committee. That should be Game and Fish's problem, not the committee's problem, not legislature, not in that room. You know, so it was a pretty good turnout. It did pass, or they did vote it to keep going. So, but we'll be lucky if that governor don't shut it down, Governor Hobbs.
Oh, okay. Okay. I
So,
understand now.
yeah, but it don't matter. And I had that guy. Oh,
Hold on. How do I turn this thing off?
you know what was kind of
Whoop. We're froze. It's just you.
So I was talking to the representative after, and he was talking about an article he read, and Chuck Podolak said, "Oh, that was Chris that did that interview." So I think what I got out of it's right, I inspired him to push this bill through or make sure it was gonna get some attention. So it made me feel kind of good. And then that kid who did the interview, he texted me while I was sitting there and said, "I see you in the background. Do you have any comments?" So I just kind of told him that, yeah, we shouldn't be here. This should be Game and Fish. And I told him, I said, here's my comments that you can quote. I said, at any time, if Russ McSpadden wants to hang out and we can have a conversation, I'm always open to that. But basically, I basically put, whether this bill goes through or not, I feel that we have the support from the Game and Fish, and I'm not about it. It was the first time I ever had been to one of those hearings, so it's kind of cool. And after Russ got up there, I was kind of nervous to speak, but after Russ got up there and started talking about all that Jaguar crap and oscillate, and I got fired up, and I kind of put my phone away because I had my speech all written out, and I knew what I was going to say, and they cut us short. They cut us short on it. So
Now you got real big.
I can turn.
Nice beard. Nice belly. There you are.
So I didn't get to speak, and Derek said, I don't think it was a good idea that you got up there and speak because you was kind of angry. So, but I learned how to do it. And oh boy, we was at the Capitol, and there was this group there all in red shirts, and I said, hey, what's this for? And they was all about gun control and kids. And I said, well, what do you mean? And basically she said, well, we want to ban guns around kids and make it parent's responsibility. Like if the kid goes and shoots up a school, it's the parent's fault. And I said, well, what if the kid don't get a gun from home? Is it still? I mean, we actually got in an argument a little bit. And I said, well, why don't you guys focus on education? I said, come to my house. I can leave my Glock sitting on my table, and none of my kids will touch it. And then they had a bunch of Hispanics there, and they were doing a big rally around the Capitol, and it was loud, and they were chanting and
What were
something
they
about the ICE raid stuff.
talking about? What now?
They were protesting the deportation stuff, I believe.
Oh, shoot, that's
Oh,
good. They were all gathered up in one place. It'd be easy to deport them.
if they just had a cast net, they could catch every one of them.
You know what's funny is we walk up and we both have our cowboy hats on and look like a bunch of hillbilly rednecks, I guess. We had to walk through them all, but it was interesting. I actually kind of. It's almost easier to go there and speak to those people than it is to game and fish. So I'm sure I'll be down there again.
Well, good. How far are you away from home?
Well, I'm staying in Maricopa, so this morning I loaded my mule and my dogs, and I'm gonna be hunting this week.
Oh, good. Get
So
some fun out of it at least.
yeah. I built that new trailer, and
I
I might actually auction it off or raffle it off.
Let me
But
show them. Let me show them your handiwork here.
yeah. Oh, you should see the picture before. This trailer used to be a car. So if you look at that front hitch, you can see it goes up real high. That axle used to be inside that trailer.
Yeah.
So it was a low rider trailer. I raised it up, moved the axle back, built those boxes for the fenders so I could put a stove in there. And then that front door, there's another door on the other side. A lot of those two horses only have one door.
Yeah.
I built two doors on it.
Does it have the little compartment in there, the little saddle compartment in there?
Yeah, I put a door on each side though instead of just one side.
Yeah, that's a lot better. That looks good, Chris.
That's all like 16th inch diamond plate instead. That whole trailer used to be fiberglass. It was made to be pulled with a Buick or something, a Buick Skylark. So,
Are you going to paint it?
yeah, oh yeah, So the top of that's fiberglass. I cut all the fiberglass off the side, put that wood on the side. I built a ramp on it, and my poor mule, I was pouring the trying to load her on a ramp. She's like, "What is this, man?" So it took me a couple minutes, and I kept running inside of it, and I realized, oh, I guess I'm supposed to go inside, and she jumped on in. But she can't hang her head out.
Anything different? Anything different? Those mules think that something's going to get them.
Like it was Pac-Man going to gobble her up when I shut the. It's a ramp. I built a ramp, so if I want to take my quad, I can just roll it up the ramp.
My old jet mule, there used to be a place I'd go from one piece of property to the other, and the fence was down. And, well, it was down to like 2 strands. And I just jump him over it. And one time somebody else had been through there, and they left an old water bottle there. And it was kind of reflecting off the sunlight or whatever. And we got up there, and he looked, and just, you know how a mule can be. And just, that was my old jet mule, and he's a good sucker. And I got after him, made him go ahead and jump over the fence, and we got back in there. But every time, even after I removed that water bottle, every time I went through there, we'd have a little fight. He never would forget that place.
When I first got that 2-horse trailer, she was a booger to get in it. Now I just open the door and she runs and jumps in. So I'm sure she'll this.
We're supposed to have a special guest on here before too long.
Yeah. I talked to him today for a little bit.
Good.
Business.
Sounded good. He sounded good when I talked to him.
Yeah, I think it'll be all right.
So, Benny, where have you been?
Let's see. When did I come home? I was in Arizona for 12 days. I think.
Jeez.
Yeah, because was it a week ago? Hell, I don't know.
Yeah, last week.
Anyway,
Did you have to kick Sancho out when you got home?
no, I gave him plenty of warning, and I said I don't even want any of your damn underwear laying around.
That's what always happens. They leave a mess.
Yep.
For those that don't know, that's like a Hispanic saying out here in the Southwest. Sancho is the guy who takes care of your wife while you're gone. So if you leave for a few days, Sancho moves in, takes care of your wife for you.
In the military, we called him Jody.
Jody.
I don't know why. We just called him
Rick
Must have been
Rick
some guy
Cooley
had a
wants to know.
Jody.
Rick Cooley wants to know if I've heard anything about who's teaching the school. I have not.
Nah.
Mountain
I
Lion
was
School.
I
What
was
school is
over
that? I need to go to it.
in it's in Albuquerque. Yeah, Chris is going to be there.
Yeah.
What's the school about?
It's
That's
a
that
mountain
work
lion workshop of some kind.
like a lion seminar.
I bet it's a bunch of anti-lion hunters, isn't it?
Well, I
Not
heard
supposed
there.
to be.
Not
Go
supposed to be.
there.
Who's putting it on?
I don't know what it's called. It's some foundation they do every 3 years.
When is it? How come I didn't hear about this? What's wrong with you guys?
Did
I did hear about
We
it.
did. We talked. Yeah,
so
we talked about it on here,
I've
or at
had a
least
few.
on Wednesday night. Maybe you had to get up and go take care of your Indian tea.
I don't remember. Oh, if you talked about it on Wednesday night. Last Wednesday night, I didn't.
we've talked about
You talked about it on Monday night.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, we talked about it a month ago, maybe too.
Uh-oh.
It's been a while, but
I've
um,
slept since then.
I don't think Ken or Linda Logan are going to be there. I don't know. I haven't found out who's talking about it
Hmm.
or who's going to teach at it. Let me send. Let's see.
It ain't nobody from Arizona, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, Derek said I believe it's sponsored by the Mountain Lion Foundation, so bunny huggers probably. Yeah,
If
yeah,
hey,
$500. I don't need to. They wouldn't like to hear anything I got to say, really. I don't
if
do well in mixed company like that.
Yeah, there's a lot of
says
witnesses there too.
here, I've got this. Mike Leonard sent me a deal. It's a 3-day workshop of mountain lions in Old Town Albuquerque, March 17th through the 20th. Please go online and get in. I'm not going to go. I have had some meetings lately, and even in New Mexico, things are in the balance. Many of the top cougar biologists and fed cougar hunters will be there.
Oh, fed cougar
I don't
hunters.
know. I don't know who that is anymore.
Um, I don't know. I'll be there, but ain't none of that.
You're gonna go, Chris?
Yeah, the guy
Hey,
wanted me to go.
can a guy film? Can you turn a camera on in those things?
I don't know.
You can always have your phone in your pocket,
Yeah,
I would. You take your GoPro or whatever you use and set it up and film that sucker.
I don't see why you couldn't.
It's public, isn't it?
Yeah, as far as I know.
That'd be
Well, I'm all
cool.
signed up. Me and Derek is gonna go.
It's the
Yes, they
17th.
did. The 17th through the 20th. Is that what it said?
I think it's the 21st. Right? What is that Monday? After 15, 16. I thought it was the 21st. Something to the 21st.
He says it's the 17th through the 20th.
Yeah, man, that's what it is. So it starts on Monday night. So we'll head up there Monday, check into the hotel, and
It sounds like Mike Leonard's going to be there too,
good. I get to meet
but
him
he's
too.
just going. Yeah.
Maybe he's one of the surprise.
No, I don't think he's going to teach. He says it doesn't scare me. I just want to keep conservation lion hunting going for our kids and grandkids. You can be mad and hate, but you get things done. But to get things done, you have to have common sense and participate. And sometimes when I get all ugly, my common sense to participate goes out the window.
I think I have common sense, but I'm not a real good participator.
Well, you're a harsh participator sometimes.
I don't do good in
So
crowds.
Russell Poe wants to know if they had the drawing for the Garmin. I know Chris is driving. You had one drawing, right?
We drew the collar, but Wednesday we're going to draw for the XL, or you get your choice of the Garmin XL, a 300 or 200 with the collar, three T25s, or $1,100 cash. Your choice.
That'll be
And
cool.
that's Wednesday. But you, is it full? Are the spots all taken, Chris?
Yes.
Sold out.
Spots.
Repeat, Chris. I didn't hear you.
Cody King bought the last 8 spots.
Oh, somebody bought the last 8 spots.
Cody King did.
Cody King. Yeah. Frank White
Okay,
bought 8
Rick.
spots. California.
I have
So
3
there's
spots.
2 people that have 6 spots.
I got 3 spots in there too, don't I?
I think so. On this one, I think so. Or was that the other drawing?
Heck, I don't know.
I don't know. I'll have to look.
Everything was happening way
But
too fast.
don't worry. After we draw, we got some more announcements for more drawings.
See this? Hey, Rick
Wait,
Cooley, go ahead. What was Chris saying?
we're going to be giving something away every week. Try to.
There you go. Rick Cooley, that's March 17th through the 20th.
The early bird
That's
is
what my
over. I think. Yeah, it was $350. It says student 200 or whatever, but I think you have to be a student, like ASU or something like that. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
yes.
Oh, I had a case on there or something. Took it off.
Who was it?
Where?
Somebody said up there earlier, Brett, that Chris Raffle Watson or something like that.
There you go. Caveman said, if any of you guys interested in helping an aspiring dogman and podcaster, man, if you want to run javelinas with your hounds, hit me up. I'm an expert after the last 2 weeks.
You want to go hang out with anti-hunters all day? Hit me up.
So you
Troy,
better
I
talk to
think
Benny.
Troy, to enter those drawings, go to AZ, what is it, Chris? AZWDA.com.
azwda.com. Oh,
There you go.
Russell Poe asked me if I was still going to go. I don't think I'm going to make it. I got my plane. I got
the long.
plane tickets and everything, but
Oh,
I think we're going to cancel them. We got till tomorrow to decide, and I think I might cancel them. I got some things going on, and just don't think I can
where are
make
you
it.
supposed?
That expo in Salt Lake City, that outdoor expo. I was asked to go sit in a booth.
I don't know how people do this all the time. I left at about 4 o'clock this morning. Went all the way to Maricopa, dropped off my mule and dogs, and then ran up to the Capitol and hung around all day. So I don't know how people do it all the time.
I'm glad you're doing it.
Brett's getting anxious just hearing about it.
You
Oh,
know, when
they had 100 people. They had hundreds of those Hispanics, like they protesting over there. And I asked the guy, that Chuck Pollock, he says every day it's something crazy.
see, I couldn't. You know, things like that. When I was in business for myself, I had to go to meetings all the time. We did a lot of government work and things like that. And I'd send a labor. I would send one of the laborers to represent us. I hated to go to those things.
Yeah. It's crazy.
There you go.
To be a politician, man, I don't know. I mean, you have to deal with people every day about uh, everything. Not like whether you agree with them or not, you have to be somewhat cordial too. So,
Caveman, who are you doing an interview on his? I'm
Caveman.
doing Caveman. Who is that?
Yeah, that's Benny's buddy, welder guy.
Is that the one that's always trying to teach Benny how to weld?
Yes. I think that's it. I can't see comments on this phone, Grant. But yeah.
Hey, Louisiana Hunting says you need a suit now that you're a politician. And
A suit and a tie.
if you want to borrow my Looney Tunes tie, I'll get it to you.
Yeah, I wore a button up. Derek had a little sport coat and his vest. He looked all sharp. I should have took a picture of him. Put it on the AWDA calendar.
And I'll tell you what, I've been in meetings all over Texas and everywhere with billionaires and in the oil and gas industry, and I always have to get dressed up. And I always told everybody, if I'm ever the one holding the meeting, this is how I expect everybody to show up. The hell with all that fancy crap.
I'd clear the air and you wouldn't be so fake either. You could just tell the people
That's it.
I went to a meeting one time. They said, "Oh, you need to go to this meeting." I forget what it was. I think it was at Sandia National Labs or something like that. And they just said, "This is a good meeting. You need to attend," and this and that. And we were doing some work around there. And hell, I got to the meeting, and the meeting was about us, about me.
No wonder you had to be there.
And I got up. I said, "This is a bunch of bullshit. I'm out of here."
It wasn't because of your attitude, was it?
What's that?
It wasn't because of your attitude or nothing, was it?
It might have been. I didn't really care. I did the work, and I did a good job, and I didn't really want to go somewhere and talk about it.
Where is your guest?
I don't know. I sent him a text. He might be asleep. You know, he did go to work.
Yeah,
today.
I know. I called him. We had to do some work together today.
Oh, good. Is that going to pan out for you?
It probably will. I got to make a bunch of calls and line some stuff up, but
good.
Hopefully it works out.
I want my cut.
Because he's your friend?
No, because I'm the one who told you about it, and I'm the one who told him to get a hold of you.
Well,
I set the whole deal up.
You turned it down and said, "Call Chris. I don't want to go to work."
That's it. I'm the one who set it all up. I could have hired me a Chris to go do it.
Well, you should have just hired me.
No, I thought take out the middleman. I don't want to be a middleman either.
Yep. That's probably what's going to happen here. I'll be a middleman trying to get stuff done in California too. So,
have you guys ever used any supplements when you hunted your dogs? No. The only thing I did is what was that stuff I put in their water? But I couldn't tell any difference. Oh, need to say, speaking of difference, since I've been feeding value pack dog food, I've caught 3 javelinas.
No.
But no, they're doing really good. And this is brought to you by Value Pack Dog Food. They support hound hunters. That's all these other stinking dog food companies don't don't do near as much as they do, I don't think.
Well, they call you back at least and treat you like a human. He called me
They
back. He's called me. You
He's a
know,
good that Brian. He's a good guy. I mean, a real good guy.
I probably screwed it up because like, what do you want? I didn't want to be a mooch. I'm like, what do you want to give? Like, whatever you think is fair. I need to call them though and say, hey, I'm ready to talk.
You can
I'm going.
sponsor the Arizona Working Dog Alliance.
Yep.
There you go.
I'm gonna try to see if I can get a pallet out of them for the rendezvous.
Oh, to have a
Give away.
raffle or something, an auction.
Yep. Something. You know?
making trashy dogs trashy, or value pack dog foods. Hey, they've always been trashy, but now they catch what they're trashing on.
Yeah, exactly. They don't want to get outran, that's for sure. They got the
They are catching what they're trashing on.
Well, shoot, I guess we could talk. We were going to talk about the behind the scenes of social media. We talked about the bad and the good, but what about what it takes to put those videos out? No matter even a short, you know?
Well,
what goes into it?
Yeah, I mean, oh, here we go. This is what it's about tonight. Bada boom! There he is.
There it is. I knew if I started talking.
What's going on around here now?
we've been needing an update.
What do you look like? Chris is driving.
Yeah.
Benny disappeared on us.
Benny turned invisible. But no, I'm still alive. I just
Let's
got
see your arm.
Bandaged up.
Do you know what? I'm going to show it. You want me to show you your arm? The picture you sent me?
You can show it.
Okay, guys, if you have a weak stomach, look away.
Let me tell you about the common response of anybody you show, and it's oh F word every time.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Exactly.
Guys, don't watch if you got a weak stomach.
Close your eye. I don't even want to see it again.
Yeah, that's pretty rank. And it's more open than that now.
That's what happens when you climb in a cave and fight a lion.
Yeah. there was no cave, but I kind of fought a lion. You know, it's funny. So of course, my dogs caught that lion on the ground, and some of the dogs got clawed pretty good. They were pretty aggressive. It was a small lion, it probably didn't weigh 75 pounds, and so they were pretty aggressive with that lion. And Stocky got a infection in his arm, and his leg swelled up really, really, really bad, kind of like my arm did. And then Chamoy got an infection in her head. Her whole head swelled up, and she lost an eye.
Oh wow!
And I don't know what that lion was messing with, but it was bad juju, whatever it was, man. Let me tell you.
Chris's theory was that lion had been eating on a dead body.
So when Benny, how are you?
I'm good, Cody. How are you? It's good to see you.
He's got his politicking tie on.
I'm going with Chris.
So those dogs bayed that lion up in the corner of a high fence, and there was a couple of us there. A friend of the ranch owners was going to shoot the lion, so he came in, and literally we got a lion 5 yards in front of us, 9 dogs baying this lion up on the ground, and everybody's gagging from the smell instead of paying attention to that lion. And I've been in the woods almost 40 years, and I've smelled a lot of dead animals and a lot of rotten stuff, and I've never smelled anything that smelled like that. And a lot of people have told me, after hearing me describe it, a lot of people have told me that that a human being smells, kind of not comparable to
Yeah,
anything
no.
else.
Yeah. Have you ever found
So
have you ever found a body or been around a body like
yes, I have, but never one that was very rotten.
that was old?
You know,
That was me.
yeah.
I found a dead guy out in the desert one time. I was talking to him. I thought he was still alive. He was leaned over in the window of his truck. He'd gotten stuck and I guess had a heart attack when he was trying to get out. And I thought he was reaching in his truck to get something. And I just started talking to
Yeah.
him. I said, "Hey, dude, are you okay?" And no answer. I said, "Hey, I can help you. Are you okay?" No answer. And then I was standing right there by him, and I looked in the window, and the dude was green. I thought, "Uh-oh, this is not
Yeah.
good."
I'll tell you another story that this kind of made me think about it, talking about a smell that I will never forget. And years ago, I loaded some horses up and some dogs, and I drove to the Colorado Wyoming line and was going to do some hunting. I was planning on being gone for several weeks, and I dropped all my gear off at the trailhead, and then uh, I found a guy in town that would let me park my truck and trailer there. And I was just going to hunt my way south for a ways, and then I'd catch a ride back to my truck and trailer, and then go get my dogs and stuff. And so I unloaded. There was some heavy snow, and I unloaded my dogs. I had 2 horses, pack mule,
You
had panniers and all this stuff. And then I just drove back to town. I left one horse in the trailer. I drove back to town. I parked my truck and trailer. Then I got on my horse and I rode, 15 miles or so back up to the trailhead where my dogs were. And when I got there, man, I'll never forget this. There was a truck parked right there at the trailhead where my dogs and my horses were. And I rode my horse up to the driver's side of that truck, and there was a guy sitting in the driver's seat. And I just kind of rode my horse up to the window, and I looked down at him, and he looked up at me, and I said, "How you doing?" And he said, "Oh, there you are."
Oh, I've heard this story.
And
Yeah.
then he reached on the dash of his pickup, grabbed a 357 Magnum pistol, stuck it in his mouth, and pulled the trigger.
Oh, jeez.
And I mean, blue brains all over me. Horse went to bucking. I mean, it was bad. And I'll never forget that smell, that gunpowder burnt human flesh smell. It was just something
Mm.
but that was bad. And then what do you do? I'm like, man, people are going to think I killed this guy.
Mm.
But I ended up riding back to town and got a hold of the lady that let me park my truck there, and she got a hold of some park ranger or something, and I can't remember the guy's name now. I want to say maybe it was Daryl, but the park ranger pulled up and said, "You got something? What's up?" And I said, "Man, a guy committed suicide." And he said, "Was it Daryl something?" And I said, "Man, I don't know his name, but he had actually left a suicide note,
Mm.
and they were looking for him, and why, I don't know, if maybe he didn't want his body to sit up there and rot. Why he waited for me to get there to do that, I'll never know. But that was
And
sure a
never forgive him
strange
for
deal.
that.
Yeah.
How long?
Yeah, he had to be parked
How
there
did
for
your?
a while.
How about your hunting trip? What did it do to your hunting trip?
Oh, it was. I mean, I was done. So
I imagine.
so I take them up there, and there's a lot of snow, and the cops and all that, and they do their deal, and then take my truck up there to load my dogs and stuff because I'm gonna have to be in town for a day or two anyways. And then I jackknifed my truck and trailer on the ice trying to get back down, and it was just one of those trips, man.
I can only imagine. That's terrible.
But yeah, that old boy, his 12-year-old daughter had died from cancer,
Oh,
and
jeez.
he left a note with his ex-wife, and who was the girl's mother, and so they were kind of looking for him, and they knew it was.
They knew he was in bad shape.
Yeah, yeah, and he had like a couple empty bottles of whiskey in the front seat of the truck. I mean,
He prepped.
he prepared himself. Yeah, but
Mm.
Think anybody, somebody in general, and you were the first person to show up, huh?
yeah, I guess he saw that horse and them dogs and that gear there, and he knew someone was coming. You know, and I guess he just wanted, maybe he just wanted to be found. You know, and I I don't know, I don't
Mm.
know, but it was. It was a bad deal.
That's
Jeez.
something that will never leave your mind either.
No, no, no. He
Like
pulled,
you had the,
when he grabbed that gun, my initial thought was he was going to try to shoot me, but it all happened so fast. You only think about this stuff after the fact. But yeah, I mean, it happened fast.
Did it take
Um,
you a long time to get over it?
no, it never bothered me. He did it to himself, it's what he wanted.
Hard
So,
ass.
yeah. No, I kind of wondered if it would, and
Yeah.
no.
you're lucky he didn't just point it at you and try to shoot you first and then shoot himself too.
Yeah, I mean it happened so fast, but that's my initial thought was, and then of course when that gun went off, that horse I was under just went nuts and threw me off, and it was, and then I rushed over there, and there wasn't nothing you could do. I mean, he blew his brains out with a 357 Magnum, but
It's over with.
I started to just move him over and drive his truck down, but then forensic evidence and all that shit, I didn't want my fingerprints in there, so I rode my horse back down, and it was freaking 12 degrees, and I had to ride my horse 15 miles. The South Texas boy froze his ass off riding back into town at night. But yeah, it was
This
a bad deal.
This caveman. Who is caveman? Who'd you say caveman was, Chris?
That's Sonny Passmore, Bone, whatever, Bone Pile.
He wants to enter. He's starting a podcast, I guess. He wants help, and he wants Cody to be on his podcast.
Who is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. He goes by caveman on here.
The guy who keeps
Did he make it?
always welding.
He keeps teaching Benny how to weld.
Oh, Benny, you've been doing it wrong all these years, man.
Dandy
That's how come
Floyd.
I quit.
Yeah.
I got everything paid for and quit.
I think our stories. Gene says that, good Lord, you guys can mess up a Monday night.
Yeah, pretty morbid stories.
Cody's arm, and then the story of a guy blowing his brains out. And
Not only
Hey,
make you dumber, we make you sadder.
yeah,
Yeah.
give you something to think about. So does your arm hurt though, Cody? Does it hurt any?
No.
You got drugs?
No. I'm not taking. I'm taking gabapentin. It's for nerve pain. But yeah, to be honest with you, I've kind of gotten. I don't have much feeling in a lot of that arm.
I need to get some of that. If it's for nerve pain, I need to get some of that for my wife for when I get on her nerves.
Yeah,
You're gonna need
she overdosed on the stuff if you're not careful.
Next time she starts fussing at me because I did something wrong, I'll say, "Here, just take some of this. You'll be all right."
Just throw
I
a
tell you
pill in her
what, though,
mouth and
I have a newfound respect for a one armed person.
I bet.
It you don't realize what you take for granted, having two arms and two hands, having this thing extended out, and I can move my fingers now, but it you can't, like a medicine bottle, you can't open it anything with a child lock on it where you have to push down
Yeah.
and turn at the same time. You just all the things that you can't do with one hand.
Well,
And
Chris said that that you thought you might lose your thumb and your pinky.
Well, the doctors told me that's what they thought I was going to lose my thumb and a finger or two, and as soon as I woke up from surgery, I could move all my fingers, but I couldn't move my thumb. And then I think 2 days later, I woke up from a nap and
It
my
was
thumb
working.
was moving again. Yeah,
Me being a team roper for so many years, I knew a lot of guys who lost their thumbs team roping.
yeah,
And I came close to losing mine one time. I mean, just drew a big old blood blister on the end of it. I got it caught in a dally. But they'll do just about anything to build that back up where you have the use of that knuckle in your thumb, because if you lose your thumb, you lose think about it, almost all the
yeah,
use of that hand. Your thumb
yep,
does everything for you on that hand. So they will build it back up. They'll do everything they can just to get it past that knuckle so you can grip things.
toe on it if they
yeah.
have to.
Do what?
Put your toe on it if they have to.
Yeah, they will.
Yeah.
I knew a guy who had his toe on it. They took his toe off and put it on his thumb. No kidding.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
I've got a neighbor that cut his thumb off, caught it in a dally when he was 16, and his toe is now on. It's the weirdest looking thumb, but he can use it.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Well, get this. They covered all of my tendons in my arm up with the skin from an Atlantic codfish. So
Oh
I
hell!
got I got fish skin in me now.
Oh shoot. Trying to think of what
Yeah.
advantage that would give you in anything.
I
Well,
told
I
the
think that
doctor, I said, what kind of fish did you use? And he said, it's from an Atlantic cod. And I said, man, can we use from an alligator gore and I get some armor on that arm?
Make it a little
Yeah.
tougher.
Yeah, won't have to wear a brush jacket no more.
Steve Vick said
But
wiping your ass with a new hand isn't fun.
yeah,
well, that's true.
that's very true.
And let me tell you, from someone who's broke their right arm before, it's kind of tricky to learn how to use your
We
left
lost
hand.
Drew.
Learn how to use your left hand. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And I'll tell you something else too, Tribe. I was gonna, I got a gentleman that is working for me, but right now he's helping me take care of all my dogs and stuff. And yesterday I told him, I said, man, why don't you get to the house about 6 o'clock tomorrow morning and we'll load these dogs up and go hunting for a little bit. And my wife got a wind of that, and that was the end of that shit. But
No, you should have gave her
Oh
some of that
yeah.
nerve medicine.
I know. I thought I was going to sneak out of here. But I went out there and just trying to collar a dog with one on, without using, yeah, man, it's
Yeah, how
tough.
do you get it back around the other side? Yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
Oh, Alan Listahl from Minnesota, he's got a bad shoulder and he's got his arm, but he's basically a one-armed dude. He's lost most of the use of one arm, and he's got a little system with a rope, and he gets his collar ready, and he got it figured out, man. He collared them dogs quick by
He can
himself.
get it done. Tim B says
Yeah.
people are going to be saying something smells fishy around here.
Yeah. Every time I'm on here telling a bunch of lies, everybody can say, "Man, that smells fishy to me."
You still got that fish skin on you.
Yep.
Well, we're glad you're
But
doing all right. That you're going to make
no,
a
I'm
recovery.
doing better, and man, I had so many people from your community and this community reach out to me and sending me Facebook messages and phone messages, and even people that I don't even know, you know, offering their anything I could do, they could do to help, and offering
That's great.
prayers and just thinking about me. And I'm a firm believer that a lot of people praying on something goes a long way. So
It
it
does.
sure meant a lot, and I'd like to say thank you to everybody that reached out to me. I spent 13 days in the hospital, and
Jeez.
yeah, it was pretty rough. But I like I said, everyone out there, I sure appreciate y'all thinking about me.
Good
And
community. It's a good community.
but Benny even asked me for my address so he could send me some cookies.
Not me. No, not me.
It was Benny's
Wayne.
wife.
No, Wayne Bisbee's bunch.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
Maddie, on here, she's Benny's little friend, and she reached out to me and said she needs to get a hold of your address because they want to send you a care package. So that's
well,
100% them.
there you go. Even more of it. I sure appreciate it. And I tell you what, I had some people send me some care packages while I was in the hospital, and just with like basket with different chips and snacks and stuff. And that hospital food was so terrible. Those care packages, the only reason I survived those 13 days. I can tell you that. A bunch of them had candy.
When
My doctors walked in and said, "God, I'm at least you're not diabetic." They saw all that candy. Them doctors flipped out. But
Did you get real anxious the last few days you were in the hospital?
you know, it's real funny. I guess when you're hurt really bad like that, I guess your body does something to itself. Because I could never imagine that I could lay in a bed for 13 days. And I laid in a bed for 13 days, and it really didn't bother me until the last 2 days. It, um, you know, of course, I had 4 surgeries, so I had anesthesia 4 times.
Yeah.
So, um, for those of y'all wondering, I had an infection in my arm that I caught from that last lion. But the major problem was caused from something called compartment syndrome. And my arm was just about well. And Thursday after lunch, it was like you stuck a water hose in my arm and turned it on. My you can see my scrawny little arms, and it I'm trying to get it over there. You can see my scrawny little arms, and my elbow was swelled up the size of a milk jug.
Mm.
I mean, almost as big as a basketball.
And it
And
happened just like that. When it started, it
like
You,
just
that,
you
I
said you could watch it grow.
yeah, you could watch it swelling.
mm,
And
mm,
the last 30 minutes that I was awake before my surgery, it was as big as it. Like I say, it was as big as a milk jug is around, and it was the most painful experience in my life. I was incapacitated from pain. There at the end, I mean, I was laying on a table and I had surgeons asking me questions. Like one thing they asked me, they said, "Do you have any dentures or false teeth? Anything that can come loose and choke you while you're under surgery?" And I was in so much pain that I couldn't answer.
mm.
So they started sticking their fingers in my mouth and pulling on all my teeth, and my right arm was so
that's
swelled
groovy.
they couldn't get a vein, and my left arm they couldn't get a vein, and they literally pinned me down on that table, a needle in my neck, in my jugular vein, and
Ooh.
Mm.
injected me with.
Well, whoop! Everybody froze up. Be patient. We'll be back.
Burns like fire. And they said this is gonna burn, and they stuck that in my neck, and they put an oxygen mask on me, and told me to start counting, and I got to about 10, and then I woke up after surgery. I mean, I
Yeah.
went out like a light. But
Yeah, that's
it
that pain. I had meningitis one time, and I was in the hospital for 6 days. And boy, those first couple days with that, I thought I was going to die. The pain was so
yeah.
bad. But I got when I
Yeah.
was asking you about that anxiousness, they had to give me something. The last 2 days they wouldn't release me, and I got real anxious, and I couldn't. And I called my wife in there, and I said, "Hey, you're going to have to tell them. They're going to have to give me something. I'm ripping all this crap out of me, and I'm walking out of here. I can't stand it."
Well, I I told them, so they wanted me to stay like 6 more days so they could finish the antibiotic cycle. And I told them, I said, I'm going home.
Yeah,
I'm either going to go home because you discharged me, or I'm going to go home because I fought my way out of here. But enough's enough.
yeah.
And so then they just, they got a home health care lady that comes out once a day and gives me a shot of antibiotics. And but I think with that big old open wound, they didn't want me to come home.
Well, and when you sit in the hospital for that long, that amount of time, it starts going through your head, and you say, "Well, I'm just here to die." That's
Yeah,
what I'm here for, and that's what I was thinking. They just got me in here to die. I'm getting out of here. And
yeah.
they gave me some anxiety medicine, and when I left, I asked them if I could have some to go home with me because I really really liked it.
Yeah. Yeah, they were giving me some muscle relaxers and stuff too, but nothing it was nothing real bad. But like for the first 10 days, I had 4 different surgeries during those 10 days.
Jeez,
So I
you
was
were
always kind of recovering from anesthesia, I
yeah,
was kind
you
of
were
in la
always
la
drugged
land.
up the whole time anyway.
Yeah.
And if you had that IV, there's no telling what else they're giving you.
Yeah, there's no telling. The only pain medication they gave me was something called Toradol, and they would only give it to you every 6 hours, and I got pretty good at keeping track of time. I'd be nurse. It's been 6 hours. Bring some of
It's
that Toradol over here.
it's time.
Yeah,
Well, we're sure
but
glad you're okay. We were all worried and
yeah,
concerned for you.
no, I'm gonna be all right.
Good.
Wednesday, I have an appointment with the plastic surgeon. So they're going to tell me when they're going to give me a skin graft and close it up. And as soon as they do that, I'm going to, because I can hunt now. I just can't do much. I just need somebody to handle the dogs and stuff for me. So I think we're getting a little cold front next week. So next week, I'm probably going to try to, but I can't go nowhere because I need home health care every day, but I can just kind of hunt close to the house and
Well, y'all have been
try
up
to
around
catch.
90 degrees there too, haven't you?
Yeah, it's been unseasonably hot. And they told me with this wound the way it is, they said, don't sweat. She said that's the worst thing you could do for your arm. So I,
Hmm.
I, I can't do much when it's 90 degrees outside if I can't sweat.
No, you can't even. I couldn't even go outside if it was 90 degrees. I couldn't sweat.
Yeah. Chris, how'd the meeting go?
So that
Excuse
is
me.
pretty interesting. Pretty interesting. I never been to one of them legislator hearings, so it was pretty neat. It went pretty good.
Yeah.
The 2552 passed their little deal. And sorry, I don't know nothing about politics. I don't. It goes somewhere else to pass, but if our governor doesn't veto it, I'll be surprised. But in
What
all
what is 20
reality,
what is
25.
2552? That's the making it to where they can't outlaw dogs.
Yeah, that's just something that said, hey, game and fish. Nah, you're not going to do nothing. You're going to just leave it alone. You can't
Yeah.
outlaw dogs. But honestly, our game and fish, I don't think we're at a threat that we have to worry about it. So whether it goes or not, and I'm gonna just be honest with you, if our governor passes that, it's I'll be surprised if she don't just veto it out because her constituents wouldn't look good to them. And it's kind of the uh, Lupe Diaz is the representative that sponsored it, and I really kind of liked he just when it come time to explain this bill, he just said, "Hey, we got people, organizations trying to get rid of this stuff." And I don't want to say he said they didn't know what they're talking about, but he was just kind of like he was passionate about it. It felt like he was passionate about it. So he was for it, and he was honest. He came out and said, I had groups, dog groups, people groups calling me, telling me just to kind of let the bill go. And he said this out loud. We had Russ McSpadden was there. I really wanted to talk to the guy, and I didn't really get a chance. I should have talked to him in the beginning before he took off, but you know, he basically said that these guys are trying to take stuff away, and he didn't feel right about it, and that's why he was passionate about it. He was down hunting. He has a bunch of where he lives. There's a bunch of deer and a bunch of lions, and he knows people that do use dogs. And I felt like he was passionate. And I got to talk to him after the fact, so you know, shook his hand, said thanks, and it's kind of cool because he was talking about an article someone did, and uh, the one guy said, "Oh, that was Chris that did that." So, I mean, he kind of, in a nutshell, said, "Oh, it kind of inspired me to be even more passionate about this bill." But it did go through their little committee thing they do, and then, like I said, I don't know where it goes next because man, this is like first time I've ever been in the state capitol, you know, and it's chaos there. There was Hispanics running around like a big group there chanting megaphones, protesting about raids and whatever they was protesting about. You know, they all flying Mexican flags, and you know, I know people in Mexico that are saying they're flying American flags in Mexico because they like Trump, and then the Hispanics here are flying Mexican flags because they hate Trump. So it'll
Cody,
be
you got
just a
Yeah.
good even swap.
you didn't get clawed or anything or bit.
And
Who,
someone asked
me?
if
No.
you did you
No,
guys end up killing the lion?
yeah, we killed the lion, and I just had, from going through thick brush, for that whole week, I had been hunting really hard, and I had cuts and scratches all over me. And I picked that lion up to take a picture, and he just, it got in me somehow. You know, it got in me somehow.
Well, it could have been on the dogs, and you know, dog runs by, or you load a dog, it's on him.
Yeah,
That's
I
like
mean it's
apocalypse stuff. That's like zombie apocalypse stuff. So,
yeah, it was pretty bad. And I had it for about a week, and I had it. I was taking clindamycin, and everything was fine. It was getting better. Hell, it was almost well. And then that damn compartment syndrome started, and once that started, it was over with quick.
Is that something that starts because it's trying to isolate the poison or something that's in you? You think?
No, it's a very weird, rare deal. If you Google it and look it up, most cases occur in athletes between 30 and 40 years old.
Well, that.
And
How old are you?
I'm 40. I'm
Well,
40,
and
but
running
I don't know that
hounds,
I'm much of an athlete.
running hounds. You got to be somewhat of an athlete. Last time I checked, you're not riding a mule.
Yeah. No, well, that's true, but I'm a short distance athlete.
well, I was on the phone with you Thursday, and you said, "Be patient with me, Chris. I'm down to one arm, my
Yeah.
pecking on the computer." And he says, "My right arm, it's man, it hurts real bad, and it's swollen." And then I get a picture Saturday. I'm like, "Oh
Yeah,
my
yeah. I was
god!"
on the phone with you Thursday, and Thursday's the day I
Mm-hmm.
went to the hospital.
Yeah.
And
I said, "Do you
yeah,
have arthritis or something?" He said, "No, it just hurts, swollen." So,
I'm gonna get off here up on the mountain. Y'all boys, good night. Who said that, Brett?
Troy
Troy,
Barbera.
Uh,
Barbera is how do you pronounce
yeah,
that?
Barbera, mm-hmm.
Barbera.
Barbera.
yeah,
Oh, cool.
they man, I got the mountain curs in my kennel right now, guys.
What are you gonna?
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Well, that explains a lot of your sickness.
They're not. They're actually for a friend of mine who lives in Mexico, the owner of a giant ranch down there. they come from Oklahoma, and I he wanted them, so I ordered them for him, and I got them here to my house, and then he's going to send somebody to come pick them up here. It's a little old puppy, and then a 5-year-old male dog. And he's going to use them for trailing wounded deer.
Oh, cool.
But they're pretty dogs.
Hey, mountain
They're
cur is one of the nicest curs there are.
yeah, yeah.
They're they're
They're
real. They're
pretty.
kind of a smaller dog. They're a smaller dog, and they're super highly intelligent. You can do almost anything with a mountain cur.
Let me see if let me see if I can. I should have service going out there. My dogs are all barking. Y'all shut up.
There you go. Man,
Yeah.
your dogs have it tough there, don't they?
Yeah, here's the male dog. I don't know if y'all can see him.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Then here's a little puppy. Hey, little booger. What are you doing?
He's happy to see you.
What are you doing, little booger? But yeah, so there's some mountain curs in my kennels. I hope nobody drives by and they're gonna think they're mine. I actually had a dog one time that a gentleman gave me when I got started, and it was an old dog that had started false treeing, but she was like 13 years old. Her name was Boots, but she was half running walker and half mountain cur, and that was a good jip, and that was a cold trailing bitch too.
I'll be
She
damned.
was she was a nice dog, but in her old age, she got to where she couldn't keep up, and her solution to that was to just sit down and tree. And
Yeah.
she would fall if they made a loose. She would false treat every time. She kind of went nuts in her old age, but she was a good dog.
Rick Cooley says
Right.
compartment syndrome usually caused by too tight of wrapping.
It could be stress too. There was like a bunch of, if you look it up, you
Yeah,
didn't have
I don't
nothing
know.
wrapped.
I didn't have nothing wrapped. Yeah,
Maybe that
but maybe the
swelling.
athlete, maybe the athletes are wrapping themselves is what he means or something.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. But I did lose one of the arteries in my arm. And you have two, and your legs cannot survive with just one artery, but your arms can. So I'll be okay, but I only got one artery in my right arm. I lost one of them.
Hmm.
And
Will there be any after effects from that, or?
I'm sure, I'm sure it'll probably bother me some the rest of my life, but
Yeah.
I imagine my hand will get really cold really easy. It's not going to have good circulation, and
Probably.
You
Yeah.
said there was other people with you. No one else got it, or just you?
yeah,
You said,
no one else got it. No one else got it.
hmm,
But no one else would have had open wounds for it to get in, to either. I mean, I had caught some cats, and I had scratches on my lines. I'm on my arms, and I had scratches everywhere from going through the brush. Yeah, Benny does have a pretty nice tie on. What's the story of that tie you got there, Benny?
He just
Well,
wanted to look
this is
nice.
so that yeah, I would dress up because he knew you were coming on. But
Yeah.
Chris said that he looked like a hillbilly kind of guy back there, and I told a story that I've been in meetings with bazillionaire oil guys and investment guys, and I was tired of wearing ties, suits, and all that crap. And I said, if I ever have to conduct a meeting, y'all show up like this. And then somebody said something about a tie, so I showed Chris how he could go to the next meeting down there at the Capitol.
We need to get Chris a
And this
tie.
is
If he's going to go represent Houndsman, he needs to look good.
this
Yeah.
is a good deal here.
There you
I know.
go.
Oh, you got Looney Tunes on there.
Yeah, Looney Tunes is that's exactly Looney Tunes is the way to go if you're going to have to go up there to the legislature.
There you go,
Yeah.
Cody. Finally got some real dogs.
Yeah, Rick Cooley. So Rick Cooley's got some cur dogs that he hunts.
Cool.
It Yeah, Rick. I forget where Rick lives. It's out east somewhere, like Kentucky or Ohio. He's going to Ohio hunting. I don't remember where he's from. Sure, I'm sure you'll hear this and type it in there. But Rick, Rick's been driving around hunting all over the country, and
Well,
running.
Daryl Fry used cur dogs for lions.
Yeah,
Those, I
yeah,
think I seen
yeah,
that. I think they were striker bred dogs.
yeah. That's funny. There's kind of different kinds of those mountain curs, and I'd like to see Daryl Fry's dogs uh, one time. I'd really like to see him uh, working.
Yeah,
That would be interesting because he's been very successful at it.
yeah,
He's not a lion hunter; he's a successful lion hunter,
yeah,
and he's done it with a breed of dogs that really most people don't use for that, and that's a pretty good accomplishment.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I think they got a big brain. I think they're really smart.
They are. They are. It. I've been around. You do anything that you want her to do.
Yeah.
I gave her to a guy to make a deer dog out of, and it did really good, which is why these dogs are coming. They're the same blood. But I had her here for a couple months before he got her, or maybe a month.
That's right. His were
And
Kimmer cur. Yeah.
yeah, Kimmers. And I went out. I got feed in the bucket and walked out in the pasture and looked for the horses in the brush. Shook them some feed, got them back up to the pen, and then the third day I took her out there to do that. She just took off on her own, started barking, and she ran them horses back up to the house. It The third time of doing something, she picked it up on her own. She's a real smart dog. I gave her to guy, and she made a very, very good deer dog.
I
Yeah,
told the
they're
story.
smart.
I told the story before, but I took my nephew shot a nice buck with a bow, and they couldn't find it. And I went back the next day, and I had to talk my dogs into it, but I got them to trail that buck up. They they kept looking at me like they were going to get in trouble. Now they trailed it up, but they didn't open on the track. They just
Really?
trailed it up. Yeah, I just followed them and they trailed it up, found it.
Yeah. Yeah. Old man Norman Davidson, he used to have a dog that he could put on anything.
Yeah.
You know, he could find a track. He could bring Goofy, I think was that dog's name. Goofy or Sleepy, I don't remember. But Goofy, come here, and he'd shake his hand down there in that dirt by that track, and he could. I mean, if he wanted to trail a cow up, he could put it on anything,
Yeah,
and
I
that's
really think I can talk my dogs into trailing just about anything. The problem I have is talking them out of trailing some stuff.
yeah, yeah, right.
Somebody's playing some music. Chris, what are you
No,
doing? Just sit still.
I had to go look at the satellite they sent up in the air. I just got a Snapchat.
What
If you
it
look
look
to the
like?
west, you'll see. You never seen them when they launched those satellites out of California, Elon Musk?
No, I can't say I have.
He
It's
Can't.
launches
Yeah,
them
we've
from
seen
down
the
here.
satellites. We were at the Taylor place and we saw those satellites going across, Brett.
That's
yep, I
right. We
kind of see
did.
it.
Yeah. Looks like
Nope.
a comet.
Yeah.
Yeah. Rick Cooley's on the Kentucky Indiana line.
Yeah, Indiana line. Yeah.
What are these pictures you sent me, Chris?
Guys, we talk about me doing things with one arm. Rick Cooley hunts all over the country, and he's only got one leg, so none of us got an excuse to not go hunting.
No kidding.
Yeah, he sure does. He lost his leg kind of a little at a time, and they got him fitted with a real good prosthetic, and yeah, he went to Africa at the same time that I did this
Wow.
past year. Yeah, pretty cool. Pretty cool.
That just shows you if you want to bad enough, you can do just about anything.
Yeah. No, that's exactly right. One of these days he's going to come down and hunt with me for a few days, but with this arm, it's probably going to be a while. Or actually, maybe he needs to come down, and then I'll have somebody take me hunting. Somebody take me hunting.
Chris is
Yeah,
having the satellite put out his
that
internet.
satellite launch probably hit his house. Elon might have failed a failed launch over there or something. Hopefully, he's all right. But
Cody,
well,
Trevin
guys,
Hall, Trevin Hall says that he'll be over there next month to take care of your dogs and take you hunting with your dogs.
he's
Take you
coming,
hunting
and
with
I
your dogs.
I gave him a fair warning. I said, because he kind of assumed that I wasn't going to be able to go, and I said, "Nah, man, you come on." I said, "But fair warning, you're going to have to be the dog man." And he's more than willing. So I think he's going to bring a couple young dogs from Florida, and he's been catching bobcats over in Florida. And he started catching them pretty good. I don't
Pretty
know how
regular.
long he's been hunting. He's been hunting, you know, for most of his life, but he just started bobcat hunting not too long ago, and he's catching some bobcats over there. Once you got that graft, the healing goes quickly. Yeah, that's what I'm hoping for. That's what I'm hoping for. I'll find that out on Wednesday.
Somebody
But
asked in the comments, did that why that fish? Is it because of the oil to help lubricate your tendons or
no, it's just a substance. Normally when you do a skin graft, they'll cut it off of your leg or somewhere on your body and use that for donor skin,
You
basically.
you just don't
And
have a
and
lot of skin left anywhere, do you?
yeah, but they've learned that they can do it with fish skin as well. But it's kind of the close up the wound, and then like that one person said, once you get the skin graft on there, then you start building your own skin, and it starts healing quicker.
I thought they
And
took it off your ass, but I've seen you before. You don't have a
yeah,
lot of extra skin on your ass.
that's what I've been worried about. I was like, Doc, I hold this wound up next to my leg, and it's like I don't know that I want you cutting all that skin off my leg, man. That's half my damn leg. And I don't know, and maybe that person will answer. I'd like to know, when they cut that skin off, do they take all of the skin? I mean, are you down to
Just
muscle,
a layer.
or or do they
no,
just take a layer of your skin?
They
Yeah.
they
probably
just
build it
fillet
up.
it. Yeah, they just fillet it and they just take layers off. So you still
Yeah,
got some skin and you got some big scabs and it's a really fun process.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, yeah. My stepbrother was a burn victim when he was about 22 years old, and he went through a lot. It was bad. He was burned. Being burnt, that sucks. That's way worse than what I got.
They say there's
You
no
know,
pain like that.
yeah. And but at the same time, you look at that giant freaking gash in my arm, and it's like, man, how does the human body recover from that? And human body's pretty resilient. Enough time passes by, and you'll get healed up.
Ah, eek.
Here, I'll send you a better one.
Looks worse now, I think.
Yeah.
Horrible.
Hey Cody, there's JR wants to know if you got any pups going or upcoming litters from Ruben's old stock or your running stock.
Man, I don't right now. I do have
Golly,
a
I can't
couple
even
of
look at this one, Cody.
Yeah.
I'll put it up, but I got to put a warning up here. YouTube's
This
probably
was like
gonna kick me off
three
the
or
internet here.
this was like three. This is basically what it looks like now, and
Jeez
it
Louise.
won't. It won't.
Hey, it's,
And that white thing that you see there, that's my tendon. That's a big old tendon.
Jeez Louise.
And it got so
Imagine.
swollen they cut it, right?
That's
Yeah, I mean it was just. I mean it couldn't swell. I mean it couldn't possibly stretch anymore, and they cut me from right here to my wrist. I mean I'm cut the whole way,
And they couldn't
and
pull that skin back together, or did they
no,
cut a chunk out?
no. Well, they cut some muscle out. There was necrosis going on already, so there was some dead muscle that they did cut out, but uh, it was just so swollen, and then it opened up, and then the guy, they could never get it to close again like it was. It's just not going to do it. Once it's been opened that once you're open that much, things start tightening up and loosening up, and it starts, even it, like you say, it looks worse now than it did before. And that's just because as your muscles are healing, that they're tightening up on the other side and opening it up more. He said in the old days they would put clamps on it, and like every day come in and ratchet stretch it a little bit closed and a little bit closed, and then over a period of a month they'd get it kind of back together. And he said it's an extremely painful process, and now they just said we'll just put a skin graft over it and be done.
As Marty Beard said, Montague Stevens hunted grizzlies with one arm.
Really?
Yep. Yep, he was quiet. Do you ever read that book, Meet Mr. Grizzly?
No, I
You
haven't.
should get it. It's a pretty cool book. It was right
Huh.
up here. They hunted grizzlies right up here too. He goes. It's pretty interesting. He goes into a lot of detail about stuff.
Yeah,
Running hounds, running dogs on grizzlies.
that'd be fun.
I
That
bet
would
you'd
be
have to be a
fun.
double tough sucker to do it.
Yeah, I want to someday. I want to catch an African lion with dogs. And a friend of mine, one of the guys that I went with Gavin, he actually just did it this week. They trailed up. There was a lion that was causing a bunch of problems and killing a bunch of livestock, and they were able to get a permit, and they trailed it up with dogs and shot it.
How
And
did the dogs bay it up? I wonder.
yeah, yeah, the dogs baited up.
Or if you
did
do
they
that, are you
have
going
a
to take
few
your
hundred?
dogs?
No,
I was going to say
I,
if you don't make it back, can I have some of them?
yeah, exactly.
How many dogs do they use, Cody? Because you've seen an African lion, right?
Yeah, they're big. They're
Man,
big, and
hell, they're as big as a Volkswagen.
yeah, no, they're giant. And uh, here, let me find the picture, and I'll send it to Brett, and he can put it up.
You're having internet problems, Chris?
I didn't restart my computer, and it's been on for about 3 or 4 days. So when I got here this morning, I set it up and forgot to restart it, and I just came in here and tried to play it, and it kept messing up. So I just restarted it.
And
It
he
shouldn't.
posted this picture. He posted this picture on Facebook, so I mean, it was. You can show it
Oh my gosh!
when.
Look at
Yeah.
look at this thing. Can you imagine?
Good grief, man.
So that's Flippy. We call him Flippy, but his name's Philip Botha. and his uncle is one of the most famous houndsmen to come out of Africa, and he
Golly.
hunted leopards and lions with hounds. Yeah,
Wouldn't
that's a.
that be a hoot?
I
So
mean,
do they tree? Do those
that's a
lions
different.
tree?
No,
No,
they
I
don't.
mean maybe, but no, I don't.
No,
They ain't going in no tree. They're
They
just
just
gonna kill your
trail them?
dog. You better get
Yeah.
there quick. Yeah.
Wow, that would be something right there now.
Yeah, I would love. I'm gonna do that one day. One day. That's my bucket list item. You know,
man,
them
that'd be a hoot.
leopards, them leopards in Africa, and them jaguars here. They'll hurt you, but that lion will kill you. You know, that's a
Yeah,
different. That's a different
yeah.
ball game. I mean
That lion's paw.
if that
That
lion
lion's paw is that big.
if he touches you,
His
you're dead.
Mm.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, his paw's as big as your head. You know, I mean,
I bet
just
they
Yeah.
make a lot of
unbelievable.
noise too. I bet there's a lot of when the
Yeah,
when they get to them. Hmm.
yeah, it. But yeah, that's pretty cool. Flippy caught that lion this week. And like I said, it's not a hunt that you could go on or anything. You know, they can't sell the hunt or anything. That's pure D predator control.
I think that's Cass River Ranch, West Siberian Leica. He said you need Leicas for grizzly.
Wow, he's got a hold of him, doesn't he?
That bear don't look
Yeah,
like he likes it either.
No, I wonder if the dog. I wonder if the dog lived through that.
I doubt it,
Need just one more
but
dog
maybe.
for that one.
Just one
Yeah,
more dog.
that's where you need 40 dogs. And, and that bear go through them one by one too. Them big old grizzlies are pretty bad creatures
Oh,
too.
that
Yeah.
Montague
That's
Stevens, he goes through all that, the different types of dogs, and he's got a whole chapter on what he called fighting dogs. Using pit bulls or bulldogs or whatever he had back in those days, and he said they didn't do any good. They were too aggressive and just got themselves killed.
well, guys. I'm gonna
Time
have
for
my
dinner.
dinner.
Oh, you're
That's a
eating
one
health.
arm.
You're eating health food
That's a one
tonight.
armed man dinner.
So I'm staying in my dog kennels. I built those living quarters next to my dog kennels, and all my girls all each got an inside dog, and my wife's got a couple cats, and I didn't want to be in there with those animals and my wound open, so I'm staying out here by myself, and this is what happens when I'm forced to fend for myself.
They won't even
I,
they won't even slide you a plate of food.
yeah, I got a whole refrigerator full of steaks and all kinds of stuff, and I'm gonna eat ramen noodle soup tonight. But I'm gonna eat and I'm gonna go lay down. I can't having this arm
Yeah,
below my heart is not good. It needs to be elevated, and I I've been working today, so I haven't. It hasn't been elevated all day, and it's a little sore. My
I
hand's
bet.
Starting
swelling
to
up a
feel it.
little bit.
Well, thanks for
Yeah,
stopping in, Cody. I appreciate
Yeah,
it.
Cody.
yeah. Once
Good.
again, I wanted to thank everybody for checking in on me. It sure meant a lot, and it I get healed up. We'll go back to hunting here pretty quick.
There
So,
you go. Yeah,
but
continue getting better.
at the same time, I'm not doing nothing, and I'm bored as hell. So if anybody needs something, feel free to reach out and give me something to do. So
Call him and pick his brain.
Hmm.
that's right. We'll see you guys. Good
We'll
night.
see you, Cody.
Thanks,
Take
Cody.
care.
Thank you.
Guys, I think I'm going to call it early tonight. Chris has been
Sounds
on the
good. I'm
road
worn
all
out.
day. Chris has been on the road all day. Benny is all dressed up.
He had to go get his tie. I wore him out.
And
Man.
I haven't. I've been kind of on the puny side for the last few days. So I think I'm going to go in and go to
Brett,
bed.
somebody back in the comments asked about the Mexico trip and interviewing that lion hunter close by. I think the lion hunter must be, uh, oh crap, Harley Shaw probably. And I can say that I was at Harley Shaw's a week ago, and Harley's just tired. He's worn out. He's got his wife at home because he doesn't want to leave her in a home, and she's got dementia real bad. And the deal is when Harley feels like he's got time and he can get to it, then he's going to get a hold of me, and I'll tell Brett, and Brett's going to run over there and see Harley. As for the Mexico thing, we
We're
don't know
getting
nothing
close.
on Brett.
We're getting closer on some of those deals. I mean, Value Pack came through for me, and
Okay.
that helps. I mean, I honestly, I just, it was hard for me to get. I'm on a fixed income more or less now, so it's kind of hard for me to get down there. And I I was trying to get sponsors and to see if there was any interest, if it'd be worthwhile. I'd love to go down there and talk to him. I corresponded with him quite a bit. Can't remember his name right now. What's his name, Benny? Jaguar Hunter. Tony Rivera.
Tony.
And I've corresponded with him quite a bit. And he sent me some book that he wrote. It was just kind of handwritten, but yeah.
That reminds me, I've got it right here. I need to finish going through this and send it back to him.
Jeremiah was a bullfrog. I roped with Jake Barnes a few times. That puts a lot of pressure on a guy.
Yep.
So anyway, guys, thank you all for
There it is,
stopping
right there.
in. Oh, go ahead. Is that book?
It is. It's the English version,
Yeah.
and I've been going through it for him to help him with his punctuation.
Cool. You know punctuation? How come that surprises me?
I do. Because I lack a half a credit of graduating high school, and it's my English class.
I graduated high school even, Benny. I think they just
Well-
wanted to get rid of me.
Yeah. They graduated you from high school.
That's it. They called me in the office. They called me in the office 1 month before graduation, and they told me by law that if I missed one more day of school, that I wouldn't be eligible to graduate. So I had to sit in classes for the last month.
I spent my first 3 years at the river bottom drinking beer with my Jeep.
We didn't have a river bottom, but we had plenty of beer.
I brought the beer and everybody else drank it. But I was the only one looked old enough to buy it.
We had what we called bootleggers, and then the cops would watch, and they would confiscate. They wouldn't do anything to us, but they would take our beer. That was a long time ago in a small town.
Yep. You was just hoping they didn't call your dad.
Yep. Yeah, no kidding. No, not so much my dad. My dad would probably want the beer too. My mom would have got a little mad at me. Anyway, guys, thanks for everybody showing up. Appreciate it. We're all glad Cody jumped in and told us he was okay, and we could actually look at him and see that he is okay.
Yep.
So, Chris, thanks for going over there and doing what you do. I'm glad it's you and not me.
I know.
Benny, as always, thank you. Everybody else, hasta luego.
Later.
See y'all.